Now, I'm a reflexologist. I got into it because I just like my feet being tickled, and I was dragged with my friend to go to a union class because she didn't want to go on her own. And I thought, well, this relationship with your feet and the rest of it is a load of rubbish, but I'm okay to have my feet. And on the course, they said, now, we're going to focus on this system, and we did the digestive system, say, and a lot of people react like this the next day. And I thought, well, I'm not going to react like that because the relationship with the rest of my body is totally different. And the next day, I reacted like that. And I thought, wow, there's something in this. And I discovered that reflexology is a fantastic therapy to help with elimination. And that's the focus of the book. Because if we keep all our elimination routes clear, we can get away with eating things that aren't quite right for us. And then we can eliminate it with. So I started with that focus because my son, who was 3-year-old at this time, I was driving in the car and he said to me, Mum, if you could breathe in but you couldn't breathe out, would you survive? I said, no. He's telling me this 3-year-old son. And I thought, well, that's what the issue is, that we're constipated, we're dehydrated, and we're just not getting rid of all the toxins. So I really wanted to focus that emphasis and use the movement to accelerate that process in our body. I thought, wouldn't it be great if I taught someone a process to get in tune with that? And this is what the rebalance is about, is we're quietening down the stimulus and the noise of food so that we can really connect to our intuition. So one of my stories that I had with a client, she used to have about 8 cups of tea a day and no water. And as I worked with her, I said, because she's got this just habit of making tea. And I said, well, why don't you just change the habit into making hot water? And just forget about that you're not drinking tea. Just, here's the new habit. So she just made the habit of making hot water. And she realised that all it was a habit. And our body doesn't really want tea. And because she started getting hydrated, then her intuition started to open up. The key things that I help people with are the 4 corners. So the 4 corners of the jigsaw. So when we make a jigsaw, when we find a corner, you think, oh, I know exactly where that goes, and you can find the other pieces that go around with it much easier. And that's the principle here. And you know, when you look at the box of the jigsaw, the box cover, that's the moon, the overall picture. Yeah. So always looking at what's the moon doing at this time of day when we meeting. So the 4 corners are oxygen, because our body gives us a hunger stimulus when it wants oxygen. Yeah? Water, our body gives us a hunger stimulus when we're thirsty. And we're balancing pH levels, so it's acid alkaline. Because if we get that right in our body, then all our cellular functioning starts working better. And then finally, the 4th jigsaw is balancing your blood sugar levels. Because out of that, we then, and if Alan was here, I'd be telling this to Alan, so if you're watching the video, Alan, out of balancing your blood sugar levels, you rebalance your gut flora. So blood sugar levels is a corner, and your microflora is one of the bits in the middle, and that will just fall into place. So we eat because we're hungry, hopefully, like Christine. And if we realise that just like we have tears of pain, we have tears of sadness, we have tears of laughter, we have tears because we're chopping onions, we have hunger for oxygen, we have hunger for water, we have hunger because we're nurturing. So if we are able to distinguish those little bit of hunger, we think, oh yeah, I know I'm hungry, but I know I want oxygen now, then it's much easier easier for us to rebalance our diet. So the rebalance creates that contrast. We're eating in alignment with all the moon phases, and we're calming down the noise of food to connect to our intuition. So when we go to eat our normal food for the rest of the week, we've created a contrast. We get out of balance. And it's that contrast of being in balance and out of balance, all of a sudden that intuition comes in. Because our body will want to report things through contrast. It doesn't report constants. It filters them out. So it's through that contrast you create your intuition, you connect to your intuition. So, the phases of the moon. Now I've got a client who came to me and she had long-term abdominal pain. It would flare up, she'd have to be rushed to hospital, they'd examine her, they couldn't find anything wrong with her, but they found that her colon was twisted, and they said, well, what we can do is cut that colon out. And they sewed that over. And she thought, well, I don't really want to do that. And so she found me, she saw one of my yoga posters, and we were chatting about yoga, and then she discovered a healthy balanced diet. So eventually she decided to work with me. And she discovered that she could eat anything she wanted at lunchtime, but in the evening meal she had to eat in line with the moon phases. She had to eat really lightly. She didn't mix up proteins, carbohydrates, but if she did that, it meant that when she went out, she could eat whatever she wanted. And that was a real breakthrough for her. Yeah. And all her colon problems, her abdominal pain went. So using the phases of the moon can really help you eat what you might consider to be the thing that you want to eat, but you need to have this period where you get back in tune with your intuition. Yeah. So she still does her regular rebalance. She really enjoys it, and now she enjoys her food even more. Yeah, so the intrigue bit about applying the Alexander technique to it means that you understand your habits around food. And that's what we're really doing. We're changing the habits around the food so that you then just make different choices on what you eat. Rather than having the mentality that you're going on a diet, you're thinking, oh, I'm changing habits. Yeah, and that makes a massive difference to people have this feeling of, well, I don't feel as if I'm restricting anything. Because I could get away with eating anything I want at lunchtime. But I don't want to eat that now, because I know I feel really good eating this. So it's much more about changing habits. Has anyone got any questions? Has anyone got any organs they're particularly interested in? Or?
You talk about the phases of the moon. What does that mean? Is that through the month, or is that during the day, or how do you?
So that's a good question. So the moon will have a 24-hour cycle, and then it has its monthly cycle, yeah, and then there's a yearly cycle. And when I talk about your organs, that is a 24-hour cycle. So every 24 hours, your organ will reach a peak of activity, and then 12 hours later, it starts producing as a low activity. Yeah. And so it goes through that. So there's a chart in the book that tells you, for example, between 11 and 1, your heart reaches its peak. Yeah. So just so you get a sense of this isn't just about diet then, because your heart reaches its peak then, and your pancreas starts to turn towards its low phase, then it's a really good time of day to go and do something that really gets you breathing. So whatever you are with your exercise, for me, if I just do a quick 5-minute run, that's enough. And I was working with a client a couple of weeks ago, and she just had pneumonia, and I was doing her feet, and she said she knows her breathing's not back. And I said, yeah, from your reflex points, you still got to do some clearing out. And I said to her, it would be a really good time for you to do something then, so that you could clear out your lungs. And if I, got all these scientists doing all these experiments, then well, one thing that I'd like you to report is that if I went for a 5-minute run between 11 and 1, and then I did a 5-minute run between 5 and 6 in the evening, would that make a difference? And I reckon it would, because your heart is wanting to do that. You really get everything going. It's all pumping, clearing, getting everything circulating. So it might mean that a 5-minute run between 11 and 1 is worth a 20-minute run at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I don't know. Anyone knows any scientists that want to experiment that? And then
So you're saying, sorry, that the phases of the moon, the stuff that happens on the organs during the day, you're saying that is actually phases. That's to do with phases of the moon, is it? Or is it? Because your organs are going all the time, aren't they? They're changing.
Yeah. So the organs are still operating, but they have a peak of activity.
But that's not affected by the moon then?
Apparently, it is.
During the day?
And in the night.
The 24 hours?
24 hours.
Is affected by the moon?
Yeah.
So when the moon is in a full moon.
Yeah, so that's something I was just going to say. So then you have a monthly cycle, and you have a full moon. 2 weeks later it's a new moon, and then 4 weeks later it's a full moon. 2 weeks later. Yeah, 2 weeks later. So in a full moon, that's when your body is at its peak of absorbing things in. Yeah? And at a new moon, so when you no moon in the sky, it's at its peak of eliminating. Because that's your body's oscillation, absorbs and eliminates. And that's what you want. Going back to what my son was saying, you want this oscillation, you want a period where you eliminate, and our society has got overemphasised on the absorption.
Yeah.
And that's what this book emphasises, the elimination.
So the actual moon phases of the 24 hours will be affected, so our organs are affected by the 24-hour cycle, but also the monthly cycle. So our liver might be better, works more efficiently at a full moon than it does at a new moon, say.
On a new moon, and your liver reaches its peak with its elimination between 1 a.m. and 3 a.m. So on a new moon between 1 a.m. and 3 a.m, I know where you're going now. It's really at its prime. So that's a really good question, Linda, because Julie, I don't know why I called you Linda. Because when I was observing my own process, I used to think, I've got this sus now, I don't get a headache when I do my rebalance. And then I'd have a blinding headache next week. Oh my God, why am I having such a bad time with this? And I thought, I've got to keep drinking water, my body's eliminating all these toxins. And I'd look it up in my book, because the moon can be in different phases. You know, the phase, it can be in Pisces, or it can be in Cancer. So if you have a new moon, and it's in a water sign, and it's in Pisces, you are going to be catapulted with detox. Your body's at its massive, because Pisces, part of your body, look, this Pisces is your feet. This is a relationship with my reflexology. And your feet are a fantastic organ to eliminate. And I thought, oh my God, no wonder I'm having a blinding headache. So I thought, come on then, headache. So I thought it's a positive thing to see. So I know that when it's a full moon, my emphasis is I've got to really make sure I don't eat much, because on a full moon your peak of absorbing, so I can eat half the amount of food and be satisfied.
Is this only different for males or females?
No.
It's not.
So it's the same for males,
Right.
all this. Yeah. So,
But it would be interesting to work with an astrologer and
Yes.
look at individuals as well, wouldn't it? Do you
well,
know what I mean?
Exactly.
You know.
Because I started to analyse that in a lot more detail. But Pam Gregory, I don't know if any of you have heard of Pam Gregory, yeah? So Pam Gregory is an astrologer. She's also an institution, I think. And she has just done a fantastic podcast on YouTube, and it's called The Metamorphosis of Humanity. Yep. And she's helping us realise that we are going through this metamorphosis on all the badly informed, wrong incentives for people to make money out of people at the expense of their health. And she's saying that we're going through a metamorphosis where once their caterpillar has transferred into a butterfly, it can never go back to a caterpillar. And that's what our world is going through now, that we really need to look at people's best interests and not let them suffer anymore at the expense of someone else making those money. So that's my passion with this book. And one of my colleagues, he did a review for me, and he said that you can really see from the book that it's for your interest, the reader's interest. I'm not trying to sell you something at the expense of you benefit. So all the information is there, but I'd like you to know that I'm offering a follow-on support with this, because not everyone can read very easily. They'll find it really difficult to go through the process of the book, or they'll say they haven't got time to do the new recipes. So I'm collaborating with Tina and Colin, and then we're offering this venue once a month on a Tuesday evening for them to make the food, for us to enjoy it, and hopefully for you to be inspired to then go on to do it at home. And we're going to also meet online. So Tina's the owner of this lovely place here, and she's got an amazing chef. I've already given him a big hug because he made sauerkraut, all the things.
He has his own mother's sourdough that is 40 years old, so he makes all the bread. So we're very lucky.
Yeah.
Michelin star restaurant and chef, and has worked all over the world. He's worked with the Roux brothers.
We're working with meeting here once a month, and then meet online once a month, so you get contact once a fortnight. And then you can hopefully get into this rhythm of rebalancing your diet, connecting to the moon, and connecting to your intuition. So it's not just about food. Remember, the first corner is oxygen. So when we meet, we will be doing a breathing meditation together. So you might think, oh, I know this, I'm okay, I'll read the book. But in your head, wow, I know someone else who might be interested. So I've got a list. If you want to put your name down so that I can contact you to give you the information. We've got a little flyer for it, but the final bit of the price, the dates are all sorted, but they didn't get on the flyer. So if you want the information, put your name down and I'll contact you by email. And if it's not for you, you then can just forward it on to your friend or someone that you know. Or maybe it's an organisation. So, has anyone got any more questions? Yeah? Oh, okay. Lee.
Oh, so we were chatting just before, and you were saying you have some clients with ADHD and when you're kind of looking at different things, they say, oh, not only does my IBS or my tummy problem feel better, it's actually helped my ADHD. And I'm actually looking, that's why I'm here, is on the personal level to kind of see how I can manage my own kind of ADHD through food and nutrition, except at the beginning, until my ADHD gets better, chaos. So to remember the moon and like all of that, so I like the idea of the 2 meetings. Have you got like some techniques to support somebody like me who, you know, it's like a chicken and egg, isn't it? So until I can actually buy into a routine and self-manage, and then that will kind of help me remember and help me be less kind of chaotic in my mind. And that's what I find really, is I start loads of stuff with the best of intentions, and I can't keep onto it, hold on to it. So I was just curious because you've obviously got clients and, you know, people like me, and it's how do you help us kind of get a purchase on something like this, so that then we can kind of do it, and then naturally maybe everything's quietening down for us and we're able to self-manage and remember to make recipes and remember to do all of this stuff. That was my question.
Yeah. So I work with people one-to-one as well. So sometimes I say, look, why don't you work one-to-one with me, and then I will give you micro steps that you implement. And then over time, because you repeat them over time, they have a compound effect. And then I find the greatest bottleneck, I think, like, make this change, which is really small, but it will make the biggest impact. And that's how we progress. So I can do one-to-one programs, or I can just do one-to-one, and then they can also come to the group sessions. We do bespoke programs. So if you want, you can have a chat with me.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Julie.
So my question was about, you're saying that you know when you have oxygen hunger. How do you know when you have oxygen hunger?
So that's a really good question. If you did the rebalance, then
Rebalance with the
so
food.
24-hour rebalance, it guides you through, says, right, have this at this time. If you get hungry, go for a light walk.
The only thing I find is I don't get hungry.
Yeah, so you don't get hungry at all.
I don't think I get hungry, no.
No. So that's why a rebalance would be really good, because it'll get you in tune with your hunger.
Right. And do you then start getting hungry for oxygen somehow?
Yeah, you realise that you're hungry for oxygen.